I'm Tony Miller. I'm currently CMO, VP of Growth and Performance at Weight Watchers. I'll come on to Weight Watchers in a bit in the presentation with a little bit more detail in terms of what we're doing and how we're evolving. But I've been there for the last 2.5 years. Before that, I spent 5 years at the Walt Disney Company looking after digital marketing for all of our EMEA markets. And before that, I spent time on the agency side working with a lot of brands in the data and digital sector, primarily looking at it through the consumer lens. And that's what kind of this today is about for me, is like really being that consumer champion and really understanding and just providing, I think, thoughts and observations about how we need to be relevant in today's turbulent times. And ultimately what it comes down to is trying to be relevant, but juxtaposed against the fact that at the end of the day, our customers don't really care about our brands right now. They care about their problems. And there's lots of problems that are going on right now. In fact, this is out of date because there's so many changes that are happening. As we know, price increasing across the board, and this whole issue between, do we feed or do we heat? It was just said last night on the news, food increases have risen 14.5%. Inflation actually has gone up from 9.9 to 10.1 yesterday, it was announced. Our wages may have increased, but the value of the take-home pay is decreasing. We're in a recession where we have negative growth. Interest rates are going, and we all know this, we all talk about it. It is what we're living and breathing. So our consumers are preoccupied with actually what they're going to do with the little money that they have to spend, and how are brands going to be relevant to them in order to kind of be in their lives and be authentic and real. So whilst we're in the middle of a crisis, brands are also in the middle of a crisis because it's a time of intense difficulty for us. I'm sure we're all talking with our CFOs about budget cuts and about what are we going to do with less money, but how are we going to grow and sustain our presence and attract new audiences. We are going to have to be defending our budgets. Campaign released an article earlier this week that 1/3 of all brands across EMEA are going to be cutting their budgets going into Q1 next year. So how can we be relevant amidst this turmoil and this chaos and this crisis that we're living in? And I think for us, it's our role as marketers to be the voice of the customer, but not just be the voice to our board and understand who they are, what they stand for, what they want, but it's allowing our customers to actually be our brand narrative for us, to kind of really ensure that we're talking authentically in their lives and what we're meaning. So we need to allow them to be the voice. We need to listen to what people need and understand what it's going to take and act upon it. But how far should brands go in handing over their voice to their customers? In this age of transparency and trust is the front and center, it is a big risk to kind of hand over your brand narrative to your consumers. But is it a risk worth taking? Brand engagement with customers, as we talked about this morning, needs to be real, it needs to be authentic, it needs to be relatable. It needs to go beyond just pricing and product. You need to kind of land what purpose you have in their lives. And by handing over control of your brand to your cheerleaders, to your community and your ambassadors, is a clear and effective way to show up authentically. And what I want to just kind of go through in the next few minutes is just there's a spectrum of what you can do. You may already be doing it, and it'd be great to hear at the end kind of what you guys are doing and how are you actually putting consumers first and acting and showing up authentically. But there's a spectrum, and so on that spectrum, you can, if you're not doing anything, you can start simple and keep it safe. And I've just kind of looked and observed kind of through brands who are doing it in this kind of safe area. The classic freebie is still a huge, powerful tool for brands. As people wear your brand, they're sharing the message for you. They're doing your work. In Huel's case, the prevalence of gym goers wearing the brand logo not only says that it's a popular product, but it's one that's great for gym goers like you. So Huel controls the brand message, but it's the power of their community that makes them a success. This is not dissimilar to just the classic product placement approach to brand building, but it's one that you're actually allowing your consumers control and being that narrative, but in a safe, easy way. The same goes for digital brands like Strava. Not only do they create communities in the app, you can find like-minded people to join certain communities, build new friends, and have new connections. They allow you easily to share your success on social media. So friends and family can not only give you encouragement to exercise more and ultimately use their product more, but you become a brand ambassador simply by posting about your run or your cycle ride. A quick stroll through your feed, you can see which tools your friends are using to stay fit. It's also exactly what Spotify does every year. They're empowering their users to spread their brand message. They create stories using their data and insight to celebrate you and how you're using their product, what songs you're listening to, what playlists you find enjoyment from, and they provide you very simple and unique content to share across your platforms. They're still in control of their brand message, but they're providing you an easy way to spread this brand message in fun, engaging, and humorous outlets. Suddenly, other music listeners and users feel left out. They feel like everyone's on Spotify and I must join them. Another simple example is Wordle. Wordle saw the power in creating unintentional brand ambassadors. They had built the app and it's been existed for several months before they actually saw somebody posting the results using the colored squares. They grabbed hold of this and within days they built auto share function into their product. So their user base at that point spiraled astronomically through a simple sharing mechanism that they saw a user using. Again, it's the brand narrative is tightly controlled, but it's the power of the community spreading that message. And then you take a brand like Apple, incredibly premium in everything they do. Every single touch point is designed with an inch of its life to perfection. Even they hand the mic to their fans. The Shot on iPhone campaign communicates the brand, again, in an authentic and powerful way, doesn't even show the product itself for the very first time. Fans are the heroes of the ads. It's their creativity that is being celebrated, but Apple creates a way to do this without losing any control. So what does this boil down to? If you want to start simple. Create a visible community of fans. Just simply dip your toe in the water, slowly relinquishing control to your audience so that you can be seen and show up authentically in a different light than you can actually do yourselves. But if you go to the other end of the spectrum, relinquishing full control, what does that actually look like? Talking about the power of community wouldn't be possible without GiftCaf, the mobile network run by you. As we know, this entire brand premise is built on the idea that power sits within the community of users. Products and packages are designed so the consumer is in control. The FAQs are all on the community forum. GiftCaf challenges the traditional mobile market and is receiving a lot of glory from it. But in reality, it still is an incredibly safe space for them as the brand. They get authenticity from their engaged user base and their fan base, but the brand message the community put out is still controlled by the brand behind the scenes, but the community is up front. Glossier goes one step further. They have an established, powerful community of passionate fans. These communities have become spaces where the brand can directly engage with their superfans. It's like having free focus groups for them. They even have an invite-only Slack channel purely for that reason. Choosing the most engaged fans gives them a quick and efficient feedback that helps them make important choices about the brand, product development, colors they use. These fans have direct input into the brand's direction, and they are, of course, then the advocates for the products that are released. They're taking the brand's message directly to their followers and to their networks. Xbox, with the franchise model, even goes further. They went out again to all of their fan base, not only to launch, but create a new gaming console. They allowed their fans to design, to promote, and to earn money from the sales of this new console. Fans were allowed to set up their own franchise model, powered by Xbox. Xbox set up their website, their e-commerce site, for all their fans to then sell the personally designed console. The more they promoted, the more they sold. And the more they sold, the more they earned. It was a win-win for the brand and for the fans. A slightly left field approach from Starbucks. They created a community that is more adjacent to their brand and products. They set up a private Facebook that reflects key moments of the year for them. Autumn and the return of the pumpkin spice latte. Obviously, it's a place for fans to get excited about the annual return of this latte, but it's more than that. It's a space for the fans to connect all year round. Again, an opportunity for the brand to listen and to learn what's most important to their consumers. And in trusting them and in valuing their input, Starbucks can create brand stories that resonate and connect with their fans, harnessing word of mouth, creating a cacophony of chatter that brings more people to the brand. Again, it's about power of relinquishing control, and getting direct input from fans is key. So simply you can start by dipping your toe in the water and allowing them to speak, or go fully forward and actually give full control to the community and let them lead your narrative. But there's always an opportunity to kind of be somewhere in the middle, and that's where Weight Watchers comes into play, specifically where we are and on the journey that we are tapping into our communities. We have an invaluable community set up globally, and it started 60 years ago with this woman, Jean Nidetch. She founded Weight Watchers and actually was a trailblazer of her time. She set up a business in a time when she wasn't able to actually sign the papers for the business. She had to have her husband sign over the papers for the business. But she was a trailblazer, and actually, if you think about it, set up the original social network. She saw the value of getting people together and talking, and the support of talking with each other, opening that door to vulnerability, breaking down barriers, was the key to its success then and the key to its success today. It allows for the human voice to narrate the brand. When you bring in real authenticity, human voice to tell your story, your brand shines through. People come because they see the power of it, and people stay because of the connection and community that has been built for them and by them. When we hand over the microphone to our members to be our advocates, our content creators, it allows them to show us specifically what they eat in a day, how they move to stay healthy, and even share their setbacks, because we know the weight loss journey isn't the same 365 days a year, nor is it the same for any one person. And this has been a really important journey for us. Just taking a few examples here. Our member ambassadors are creating content for us that is getting 3 times the engagement that we against content we create ourselves. Why? It's because they're showing it in a real and authentic way. They're real life journeys that kind of show how easy and livable it is to be on a program like Weight Watchers. We could create things like this, but even if we try to make it look like this, it still has a brand tone to it. It has a polish to it that is different from when consumers do it themselves.
Okay, so this picture here is me just before I started my journey with WW. I just remember feeling so unhappy. I didn't like what I looked like in my clothes, and I just felt so unhealthy as well. I knew I had to do something about it. I just can't believe that those are pictures for me. I've come such a long way since. I mean, not only have I noticed a massive difference, but people around me have as well. I mean, that is me now, and I am honestly so much more confident than I was before. I really feel like WW has helped me find my love for fashion again, because I just love putting outfits together again now, and just really experimenting with what I'm wearing. I just feel so much more comfortable, and I just love living this new, healthier lifestyle as well.
Next one is about what we eat in a day. Again, trying to break it down and make it simple. We can say this, we've got a plan that does this, but it doesn't mean as much coming from us as it does from our member ambassadors, because they actually see the reality of it, the success of it, and the ease of just going throughout your day, staying on plan, enjoying foods that you love, but still losing the weight you want. And when you go out, how easy it is to actually ensure that you look beyond just the calories, and it actually is a program that helps make good and healthy choices.
I just wanted to ask, are your member ambassadors volunteers?
They originally were volunteers. We would give them a free plan and product, but we've changed that model, and they actually get paid similar to like paid influencers. So we have a whole structure of ambassador content. So we work with them to kind of figure out how much content that they will create on our behalf, and then there is an exchange of money with them. But again, it has proven, and as I said before, 3 times the engagement and interaction with the content that they're creating than the content that we put out ourselves. But there is a balance. We still use our own content because there is a story that we have to say, but it actually is supported with the real member stories. So again, somewhere in the middle, it's finding the balance that's right for you and your brand, allowing authenticity and relevance to lead that narrative. But what does the future hold? We've all talked about and have this morning had a bit of a conversation about Web 3.0. A lot of brands are experimenting in this space. Don't get too lost in the details. It's still a complex and new area, but simply think of it as a new channel to build even more powerful communities like Adidas. In January, they launched 30,000 NFTs from their Into the Metaverse collection. This collection sold out in 2 minutes, and the business earned $22 million. But the value isn't in the money, it's in the community. These people are paying for access to this elite Adidas community. So the NFTs might potentially be a good investment, but they're being purchased because the promise of receiving early access to new drops, first dibs on physical merchandise. So these fans are so desperate to be representing the Adidas brand and spreading their story, they're paying significant sums of money for that opportunity. Is it possible to pass the microphone without losing control of your message? I think the answer is yes, if you actually focus on opening the door up to your brand, engaging with your community and your fans, respecting them, but ultimately celebrating them, empowering them to spread your message. Again, it goes back to the authenticity of what you do beyond what you sell. Where is your purpose, and how are your members and community able to communicate that for you in their words? Listen to what they want. Be the consumer advocate to your board and to your executive leadership team. Understand what is going to power that, but ultimately allow authenticity and relevance to shine. Your consumer's passion is what will continue to drive the success of your brands in the future.